Okay, we're going to get going in just a minute. Welcome to the February edition of Current and Upcoming Grant Programs for Fruit and Vegetable Farmers. And so, anyway, there haven't been a ton of changes since last month, but we have a couple more programs to talk about. Once again, let me go out to the screen. My name is Elizabeth Higgins. I'm an extension specialist in ag business management with the Eastern New York Commercial Hort Team. And this is my contact information if you have questions after the webinar. I also am posting these webinars onto our Eastern New York Commercial Hort Team YouTube site. It should be within a day of the webinar. So if you ask questions during the webinar that I can't answer right away, I will put the responses in the comments section of the YouTube page. So that would be where you would go to look if you do have a question. There is a chat feature on this, and so I would type your questions into the chat and I'll either try to answer it or I'll, as I said, I'll post it. And that makes it easier for me to get a hold of people. So coming up soon, the New York State Grown and Certified Farmer Grant, which I talked about a little bit last week, and also the Labor Ready Farmer Human Resource Technical Assistance Grant. Those are ones where I know that they're looking for applications relatively soon in some areas. The New York State Grown and Certified Farmer Grant was funded by New York State Ag and Markets. They are being administered at a regional level. So different regions are basically running the grant the way they want to run it. The purpose is to help producers meet the food safety standards that are necessary to participate in the New York State Grown and Certified program. So in order to be eligible, you have to actually be applying for the program or already be enrolled. And different commodities have different requirements. Some have more of a food safety, are more complicated. Some are relatively straightforward. But if there's something there that would really enhance your food safety, it could be upgrading to stainless steel counters. It could be a new floor. It could be assistance with water quality issues and stuff. So that would be what the grant would be for. You would contact Soil and Water to participate in the Ag Environmental Management Program and complete a Tier 2 certification if it's for an agricultural commodity. And you have to be able to, in order to be eligible, you have to be able to meet the food safety protocol. So you can use the grant to achieve the ability to meet it. But by the end of the grant, you should be able to be enrolled in Grown and Certified. So if what you would need to do for food safety, even with these funds, is completely beyond you, such that you would never be able to get in the program, this would not actually be a good program for you. Once you're in New York State Grown and Certified, you have to stay in for 5 years after receiving the funding or pay back the grant funds. Eligible producers can apply for $50,000 for a project in grant funding, and you have to be able to provide at least 10% of the project cost in cash, and that can be either loans or other grants also. So right now, 2 regions are still taking applications as far as I know, and they're both in northern New York. The Fulton, Montgomery, Herkimer, Oneida, Otsego, and Schoharie have quarterly deadlines, and you would talk, CCE Oneida County is administering the grants for that region. And then in the northern New York, Jefferson, Lewis, St. Lawrence, Clinton, Essex, Franklin, and Hamilton counties, they didn't list a deadline on their website. So you would want to talk to, there's an Adirondack organization up there, DANC, and look on their website or contact them to find out if they're still taking applications. Unfortunately, the organizations in the lower Hudson and the lower part of our region are no longer taking applications with this grant program right now. Should that change, I'll certainly update you all, but right as of now, it's only in northern New York, in eastern New York, that you can still apply for these funds. So the next one I want to talk about is the Labor Ready Farmer Technical Assistance Grant. And that's really to help beginning farmers or people moving into management improve their employment or human resource practices on their farm. It can be for things like developing an employee manual or updating your employee manual, doing job descriptions, looking at H2A, other types of things like that. And you don't get funding directly. Basically, the program will pay for a consultant to work with you. You are eligible if you're a beginning farm owner, or if you're an existing farm that's not a beginning farm, but you've got somebody moving into a managerial role who will ultimately take over the farm someday. That's the plan. So it's usually a child or a relative, but it could be a farm manager who's part of the succession plan. That would be also an eligible applicant. The deadline, we're really reviewing applications right now on a rolling basis. Eligible farmers are accepted into the program until the funds are fully obligated. And the first cohort will attend a training in early March. So if this is something that's of interest to you, get your application in as soon as possible. There is a workshop on HR management on March 5th and 6th in Hyde Park in Eastern New York, and on March 13th and 14th in Rochester, New York. That's a part of this program. You can also attend the workshop without applying to the grant. So anybody can attend the workshop. And to apply or to find out more about the workshops, the Cornell Small Farms Program website, smallfarms.cornell.edu, is where you would go to learn more about this grant. So coming soon, these are grants where I see deadlines potentially coming up this spring. So, and they're more complicated applications, so it's a good idea to get ready now. We talked about REAP last week, but if you're new to the this grant webinar, I don't want you to forget about it. The deadline will be April 1st for this round. And this is a program that was reauthorized in the new Farm Bill. So the funding is now permanent for it, at least until another Farm Bill changes it. So this program provides guaranteed loan financing as well as grant funding to farms or rural small businesses to purchase and install a renewable energy system. So that could be solar, wind, biomass, or, and this is really good, to make energy efficiency improvements on their farm. A lot of maple producers have gotten these funds to put in reverse osmosis systems. It could be for upgrades for lighting. It could be upgrades for energy efficiency, other types of energy efficiency, improved coolers that are more energy efficient. Something, if you've got something that's really a drain on energy on your farm and you're looking to upgrade it, and it'll make an energy efficiency difference, this could be a really good grant for you. If you're an ag business, you have to have at least 50% of the gross income come from agricultural operations. Otherwise, if you're a small business in a rural area with less than 50,000 people, you're also eligible for these funds. So it's not just for farms. It's really for any rural small business. The grants can be for up to 25% of the eligible project costs. And for an energy efficient system, an energy system, that would be up to $500,000 in grant funding. So that would be for a $2 million project. And the maximum grant for energy efficiency is $250,000. So $1 million would be the cap for an energy efficiency project. And you can get combined grant and loan funding, guaranteed loans of up to 75% of the total eligible project costs. One thing that's really nice about this, especially in our region, is that there is a designated small project track for projects that are $20,000 or less. And this has an expedited application process and some allocated funding. So it's not as burdensome a grant to apply for. If this is of interest to you, I would talk to the state USDA Rural Development Office. They're based out of Syracuse. You can call them on the phone. I know that USDA Rural Development tends to be very hands-on with application processes for grant programs like this. So they'll work with you to help you put an application together. The next one I want to talk about is, I don't have a deadline for this, but in the 2018 Farm Bill, there were 3 programs, value-added producer grants, which a lot of growers in this region have looked at and some have received funding for, as well as the Farmers Market Promotion Program and the Local Foods Promotion Program. These were combined into a new program, the Local Agriculture Market Program, that has these 3 tracks but it sounds like it will be like the programs will all be announced at the same time. It's sort of seen as a single program with 3 different funding options. Because this is new, some of the details haven't been worked out yet. One thing I'm not sure about is whether or not the Local Food Promotion Program and Farmers Market Promotion Program both went through USDA Ag Marketing Service, whereas value-added producer grants went through USDA Rural Development. I don't know if they're all going to go through Ag Marketing Service now, or whether they're just going to, the 2 agencies will just get together and have a combined application. I also don't know how much funding will be in each of the different streams, but what I do know, and this is really exciting, is that for all 3 streams as a group, there's $50 million a year in mandatory funding. So this program is no longer subject to annual appropriations. There will be at least $50 million a year. There could be more if more is appropriated for it, but it means that for the next few years at least, this program is in the Farm Bill with guaranteed funding. So it's something that you should be looking for annually. In this past, the program was announced in the spring, the announcement for funding availability. And last year, the grant applications were due in May. Because there may be some changes, I don't know at the time. I couldn't find anything that indicated what the time frame is for this year. But it's just something to be aware of, that there is likely to be funding. It may be this spring, it may be this summer. Those are busy times for people. So these may be grants that you would want to look at. Farmers and for-profit businesses were eligible to apply for these funds in the past. Value-added producer grants, if you aren't familiar with the program, if you were to provide some funding to help a farm take something that they produce and add value to it, whether it was through further processing, through how it was marketed, like marketing it as organic when it hadn't been organic, or some other type of marketing, or it could be, it can be as simple as, taking kale and bagging it and cutting it and washing it, so just washing greens and bagging them and selling them that way, all the way up to, taking grapes and making them into wine or something like that. Mm-hmm. So that's something that's available. Farmers Market Promotion Program was funding to help promote a farmer's market, to strengthen a farmer's market. Those were usually applied for by farmers market entities, but often farmers are intimately involved with those. So that's something to be aware of if you're part of a farmer's market and you feel like your farmer's market could use improved marketing materials, some other type of thing that's helping, to help grow the market and bring new people into the market. And then the Local Foods Promotion Program was, the other thing with Farmers Market Promotion Program is it wasn't just for farmers markets, it was any type of direct marketing. So it could be for promoting CSAs, it could be for promoting farm stands, it could be for promoting agritourism, pick your own. So anything that was a direct to consumer venture, if there were a group of farmers that were looking at promoting it better, the Farmers Market Promotion Program was the funding program for that. Local Foods Promotion Program was looking at food hubs or wholesaling or helping people move to not direct to consumer marketing. And so that was the funding that you would use for that program. And as I said, it wasn't just for nonprofits. For-profit entities also could apply. In general, for Farmers Market Promotion Program and Local Foods Promotion Program, all of the benefit really was not supposed to accrue to just one farm. So this is one, if there's a network of farms that would want to apply together, it would be a stronger application. So just sort of keep your eyes open, and if you have a project that might fit into one of these boxes, just be aware that it is likely that there will be funding this year. So no deadline. Cornell Small Farms Program is, in addition to the labor program, they do have a program for veterans and active duty military personnel who want to attend an agricultural training. They'll provide up to $100 either towards their registration or travel expenses to go to a training. And if it's a multi-day training, you may be eligible for a higher reimbursement rate. So you'd want to contact Dean Kayagani at the Cornell Small Farms Program to find out about that. And then you would just submit a travel, once your what you want to attend is approved, you'd submit a travel reimbursement form, copies of receipts, and you know, like some proof that you went to the training. So this is a very easy grant. If you're a veteran or active duty military personnel and you're involved in agriculture, this could be really useful for you. Organic certification grant, we talked about this last week. It provides cost share to farmers to help them obtain or renew their certification under the National Organic Program. You can get up to 75% of your certification costs paid, and that would be up to $750 for a certification scope. And to apply for these, you'd want to talk to your USDA FSA office. The same, very similar good agricultural practice certification assistance program. That is if you're applying to receive some type of GAP certification, it will reimburse up to $1,000 of your audit, as well as costs of water testing. So this can really help make the program more affordable to you if you're moving into being GAP certified. It's a first come, first served basis until the funding runs out, and information is available on the Ag and Markets website. And actually the amount that's available was increased recently. I think it used to also be only like $750, and now it's up to $1,000. So that's really good. EQIP was also reauthorized in the Farm Bill. Environmental Quality Incentives Program, that's a cost share program, provides financial and technical assistance to producers who want to address environmental issues by implementing conservation practices. In our region, a lot of growers have used this to receive high tunnels. So a lot of people refer to it as the high tunnel grant. And it can be very useful for that. It can also do things if you're looking to get organic certified and you need crop rotations or other types of things like that. It can cover cost share some of those practices. So there's a lot of different things you can do with this. It's a really useful program. It's a real partnership with NRCS. The way the program tends to work is NRCS will go out, they'll do a farm assessment, they'll identify technical areas where you may need technical assistance to make improvements, so they'll provide that. And then if there's some practice that fits in with them that would make an improvement, they can help to cover some of the cost of those. And to do this, they often have periods where they review, like people will apply and then they will have a date where that's the deadline, and then they're going to evaluate all the applications that are in their office at that point for submitted proposals. So you really should apply when you know you want to be in the program. You shouldn't sort of sit around and wait for a deadline, but there can be, depending on where they are in the cycle, you also shouldn't count on receiving something right away. This is the kind of grant that I would be thinking, if you apply, I mean, it may take a year to receive the actual assistance. So it's not a fast turnaround, but it can be a very useful program. And then AEM, Agriculture Environmental Management, is very similar to EQIP, but it goes through soil and water conservation districts. The funding comes from the state. It's a voluntary program, provides financial and technical assistance, once again, as part of a plan to eligible producers who want to address an environmental issue. There's a real heavy focus on water quality with AEM. There is support available. AEM is required, at least having a plan is required for New York State grown and certified. And then as part of, if there are some deficits identified, there is funding through the AEM program to sort of help improve some of those deficits. It's a rolling application, and it's tied to the completion of an AEM plan with soil and water. So if you're interested in that, especially if you're looking at grown and certified, you would want to contact your county soil and water conservation district to sort of get in the process of getting an AEM plan and then finding out what is their funding, depending on what sort of deficits are identified on your farm through AEM, or I shouldn't say deficits, I should say opportunities for environmental improvements. So that's really what I have for this month. Once again, I'm Liz Higgins, an Extension Specialist. This is my contact information, and please, if you have questions, let me know. Otherwise, this webinar will be available on our YouTube channel for your reference. Thank you very much.